This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded March 24th, 2015. Episode 242. Tardiloquent, Trademark, Tirade.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
On the road again.
Boom, da, boom, 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 boom. Oh, you're supposed to keep going.
You're in Pasadena.
Pasadena?
I've never been to Pasadena. Sounds nice.
Ah, City of Roses or something, or the Rose Parade.
Right,
Which I didn't,
okay.
First time I came here, I had no idea, and then someone was like, hey, this is the street that the Rose Parade goes down. I'm like, that's why I've heard of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that you're like three weeks at home, 1 week away. That's pretty much your life.
It's flexible, but it's been travel heavy, as you know. I keep tuning in from different locations. So it's been I get around these days,
Right. The wonder of the internet is that I wouldn't know if you didn't tell me.
Right. If I didn't talk about what
no
hotel
one
I'm
would
in
have
or
a clue.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that's the promise of the Portal Lab at some point too. If I needed to bring my lab with me, I can record wherever, and it's just a different backdrop. So that's and I have been thinking about the Portal Lab again, actually.
As I said, the other month, I was thinking about it. I definitely still want to do it.
Yeah.
So
the only thing that stunk about it the first time through was just having two suitcases. That's really the big problem. So if I could figure out a way,
it's annoying.
If I just wore one thing the whole time, that would be a lot better. But
right,
yeah.
Oh
well.
Maybe you can I'm in now even thinking it can be a smaller carry box or something that could go inside larger luggage. It doesn't have to be a flight case in itself, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and so one of the things I was thinking about. So I don't know if I told you. Did I tell you about how I got the Raspberry Pi 2, and I've been playing with that a little bit as well.
No.
So one of the things I've been thinking about, so for contextual electronics, right? I train people in electronics, and I've always thought it'd be cool to do an on-site type course, but one of the big problems with that is everybody shows up, and the first 2 hours is always, well, do you have this driver installed? Do you have KiCad installed? Blah, blah, blah. So the idea with that would be, and I've talked to some friends about this, we've been working on this together a little bit, basically having just a generic plug-in screen, and then just everybody works off a Raspberry Pi 2. And if you remember when Matt was on the show, Matt Richardson from Raspberry Pi, he talked to that, and I've tried it, KiCad works A-OK on Raspberry Pi, and if even if you wanted to do other things, Raspberry Pi 2s or other platforms are, starting to run Windows 10 and other Windows projects as well. Basically,
and you can even rock up somewhere and hand out SD cards and plug them in and go.
Oh, actually, no, I was actually thinking about bringing the entire setup. So what I did is I bought a Raspberry Pi 2, and I had a Raspberry Pi before that. But then basically I just bought, there's a $75 thing on Amazon where it's a 10-inch 1280 by 800.
Oh, you told me about the screen. Yes,
the screen,
of course.
yeah.
The
so the
screen
idea was,
which makes it happen.
Right. So that was going to be so I've been working on designing a 3D printed case for that, and then the idea with that though was basically taking that screen idea and then maybe not having it 3D printed around it, but actually building that then into the suitcase, and that would definitely lower the profile, because so much of the flight case right now, the Pelican case, is just foam in order to protect all the weight of around the ragdoll and the,
of course.
And the soldering iron. You're still gonna have a soldering iron there, but you can get some smaller stuff, and so just trying to find compact equipment, bringing a Salier type logic analyzer. I'm still looking for a decent scope and a USB scope and stuff like that. So I've always thought, so we've talked about this on the program as well, but we've talked about USB connected scopes don't work, right? And why don't they work?
Right.
Because they
don't have a user interface.
Right, exactly. And so the UI always stinks on them. What I was thinking though is, why don't we just make a connected, just make knobs that are dedicated for it, right? So you have a USB scope, you have a screen, but then just make
a proper scope.
No, but that's the thing. Like for this kind of thing, you wouldn't want that. I don't want a proper scope. I want
right.
a
Well, yeah, but you get in a very
portable.
Yeah, okay, but you get in a very niche.
Oh, of course, you're right. But no, but that's always been the argument against it, right? Is that there's no knobs and stuff like that. But if you had like a peripheral set that was basically just a control surface that was knobs or sliders or rotators, whatever you needed, basically, you could replicate a lot of the tactile nature that we like about oscilloscopes. And I started just kind of thinking about that and thinking through it. So the project is ongoing, but it is in the back of my mind. It's another one rattling around in the paint can upstairs. So
got it.
Yeah, but I think the Portal Lab will come
no
back.
reason why you couldn't make your own scope out of a Raspberry Pi, a USB, scope front end, and a knobby interface with that screen you're talking about. I mean, but
yeah, right, exactly.
But by the time you build a case out of it, well, that becomes a regular scope, but at least then you can run it as a platform to run other instruments as well. So
and that's what it comes down to. Like, and even like the Raspberry Pi as the back end, it doesn't really matter what it is. Like, there's a lot of other. So one of the things that people were posting after we had Matt on the show, and we've talked about Raspberry Pi in the past. I mean, like, there are a lot of other platforms out there. I mean, like, that are similar. Yeah. There's stuff like that, and in the end, it's about the community and stuff like that, but. It doesn't really matter for me on the guts so much as the functionality, and I think the key thing there is just having a flexible. Right now the reason scope manufacturers are the way they are is because it's a case. They're selling one big thing and it's all integrated, and they want it to be robust, and for that I thank them. That's great. Not like I'm tossing a scope around, but I also don't want to have to search around my bench for the knobs that plug into the screen, that plug into the front end, that eventually probes my board. I don't want that. So, but I think for a travel situation, you do want that. You want to be able to be flexible, and that is a niche application, like you said. But I think it's an interesting one. So
totally agree. Yep. All right.
So I think what people need to do. Here's what people need to do for me. But I was thinking about this a little bit more generally as well, right? Like, there's no kind of standard, like an interface standard for that kind of thing. So if someone started defining like an interface standard for just a control surface, I mean, like kind of like a MIDI, like MIDI for instruments, but kind of like MIDI for test equipment. And then if you had, it doesn't have to be like a defined standard, just an ad hoc thing. I know. Calm down. Just like an ad hoc thing, right? So if it's always USB and it's always just, pushing out the same signal when you turn a knob thing, I don't care how it is, right? But I'm just saying that would be interesting, because when you start to think about all these piecemeal instruments that you start piecing together, right? You have a Mushi meter that maybe could talk to this thing, and then you'd have another thing that's, it starts to become an interesting and maybe headache-inducing thing for Dave.
Can I predict that this just is not going to happen?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
It's going to epically fail. Okay.
Of course. It's fine.
It's my official prediction.
Okay.
But yeah, I do understand. I understand your sentiment behind it. I really do.
Yeah. I think especially as we keep moving into an age of like everything connects to a smartphone, like sometimes wires are nice. And maybe this even would be like Bluetooth connected, but I don't know. It's just an interesting thought exercise. Hey, it got us through the first 8 minutes of the amp hour, so,
It did. Totally nailed that first.
Oh, yeah.
First
gotcha,
8,
suckers.
Minutes.
We totally burned that 8 minutes. You're never getting that 8 minutes back. Brought to you by Chris's brain. Sorry. I'm sorry.
So what other drivel can we come up with? We really don't talk about this shit before the show, folks. Really, that just came out of nowhere. It's just like it's not like we got together before the show. Let's talk about the portable lab again.
Right.
No, where did that?
Nope,
just
off the cuff, as they say.
Yep. The only thing we did talk about that we were going to talk about on today's show, we probably should leave it for later, because I reckon the second half of the show could be devoted to it, and probably will be.
Or the third half, as Click and Clack would say. Rest in peace.
Who's Click and Clack?
That was the Car Talk guys. Click and Clack, the Tapper brothers.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. I'd never heard him called that.
Tom and Ray. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they always talked about the third half of the show. I loved it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what other stuff apart from the big thing that's happened at the moment? What other stuff can we talk about?
Well, I've been cranking out some boards lately. How about you? I feel like I need to start challenging you to actually crank out some boards. No? I did find out today that all of my contextual...
That's the job of... That's the job of my new hire, you know.
Oh, yeah? How's that going?
Yeah, well, you know, it's going good. He unfortunately can't work as many hours, but it's going really well. You'll start seeing some of that in upcoming videos. So yeah, he's really really good with 3D stuff, you know. So and mechanical stuff and things like that. So you will certainly. We've already finished something. I mean, like his first day on the job was to produce a 3D case for something, which you'll see in an upcoming video. We've already produced it. We just haven't sat down, and he'll we'll do some, because we want to do some screen capture of how he designed all the 3D case and everything else. So
I might have to borrow him for that. I could use some help with that stuff.
Well, I can hire him out to you at a at a fixed hourly rate where I
Dave's
take
consulting
a
shop.
commission.
Yeah. Intern, I have hired you out at $100 an hour. You get 10.
That's right.
That's a pretty standard model. That's consulting model,
yeah,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
That's totally, it's how if you go to get your car repaired at the local service centre, they'll charge you, $80 an hour labour or whatever. Is that guy who fixed your car getting $80 an hour labour? No, of course not.
Right.
Or you hire
even the guy. Go ahead.
If you hire one of those, contract design firms, and they've got 10 employees there, and they give it to one of their employees, they'll be charging you at an hourly rate. Is that employee getting charged that? No, but he's the only one working on it, he or she.
Right.
So, standard practice, unfortunately.
Overhead, folks. It's a thing.
Yep.
In this case, Dave's pockets.
Right. As I sit on my throne of cash.
That's right. Right. So, did you decide is the Throne of Cash buying a second Altium license, or are you guys going to switch over?
Well, no, he's got his own Altium license, so there's no reason why we can't do that. No, we're not switching over anytime soon.
Damn.
And we,
Another
only one of us
folks.
is ever using it at any one time, so.
Yeah, it's true. Right, because what Dave's trying to say is he never does layout anymore.
Yeah, right, no, I don't have time to do that sort of crap anymore. No. Electronics?
Right. What is this?
Yeah, right.
What are we talking about here?
But no, I've actually been pleasantly surprised how easy it was having somebody here.
Good.
I thought, the fear, of course, as I may have mentioned before, was that things would change once somebody's here while I'm shooting video, or it'll, people I'll speak differently. I'll be more, conscious about what I'm saying, and and somehow that I won't notice it, but the audience will. The audience will go, Dave, you've changed somehow. Yeah. Nobody's said that, and Dave's been here for a couple of videos.
Who's around?
Right. And by the way, his name is Dave. So
that's good. So another Dave that uses Altium, that is an Aussie.
Yep.
So what we're trying to say here is Dave has perfected cloning, folks. I'm just kidding.
Close.
This guy can do 3D design. Dave cannot.
Yeah, he can do 3D design. Yeah, he can.
No, that's really nice though. That's cool.
It's a handy skill to have. I mean, that's why I put it on the job requirements. It wasn't a requirement of getting hired, of course, but if somebody had those skills, it was nice. And then he came in for the first day, and we're sitting here going, right, what can we do? I don't know. We're just shrugging our shoulders and go, I know, I've got this project that's been sitting around for ages, and I had a crack at it. I think it needed to be quite easy, and then I had issues with all the 3D software I was using, and I suck at it. And he goes, I can do that in 2 hours, you know, and it's like beauty. So
kids these days, huh?
Like, okay, done. That's our first project. Yeah, bloody kids and their SolidWorks, you know. And
is that what it is? I was going to ask about that.
Of course, he's a student, you know, so he's got like student licenses of SolidWorks, and you know.
That is nice. Yeah,
so
you're seeing that a
so
lot
he,
more.
so he
Actually,
knows all
there was
this
another
stuff,
one.
you know.
There's another program that just came out, and I forget what it's called now. And I know it's a 3D modeling kind of thing as well. Let me see if I can look it up as I actually talk. But the reason I heard about it, so it took 3 years to develop, and they raised like $64 million or something crazy like that.
What?
And it's all browser based though. This is a new CAD software. Mechanical CAD.
I think I heard about that. I kind of meant to try it. Yeah. What was it?
I know it's on.
This is great for real radio.
Yeah, I know.
Not, Shape Smith.
Something like that.
Is it Shape Smith? That turned up number 2 on.
It's not Shape Smith. Someone there is listening to the audience. They're going, it's blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know. I just read it the other day. Like, I'll sort. Here we go. Oh, Google sort by time in the last month, and OnShape.
That's
Is
it.
it OnShape?
It's OnShape. That's right. Yep.
OnShape. There you go. There you go. The wonders of Google time search.
Oh,
you know?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
you
but
search,
and that's one where it's the same
days.
kind of thing where it's okay. So it's interesting because it's browser based and it's free up front, and then they got all these sharing things. Because I think
what's their model to make money though? I mean, they've got to make money, otherwise it's pointless.
Yeah, it's the upsell. I mean, you can start for free, and then eventually it's monthly, and then as you get more and more.
How much can you do for free though? That's the $1 million question.
I think you can actually do quite a bit. So let's see. So they have 100. So students and makers view and mark up light duty pro stuff. So whatever that means. Oh, and you're limited on. So it's the same kind of thing. This is kind of like the Altium thing as well, right? What they're doing, where it's like, public is free, private's not, kind of thing.
Oh, right. Okay, that's right. The same model. Well, you can always make it public and then not tell anyone about it, and it's like, well, no one's going to go find it, really, are they?
Right. Well, that's the thing, though. Like all of these things, it's like, no one's going to find it, but you're also implicitly signing a document saying that this is their marketing material now. So you really there's nowhere to hide, and I mean, rightfully so, right? I mean, if you want software and you want your stuff,
if you want something free,
I think that's totally legit. So I'm not against that. The thing that's interesting to me about this and is that it is all browser based, right? So I mean, there's CAD tools like this for electronics too, right? Like Upverter is all browser based similarly, and they're all very interesting tools to me. I mean, especially like the tech of how they do it and everything like that. It's very interesting. But
the other thing I really care about, of course, before buying into this thing, i.e. because you do have to buy into, in quote marks, a free tool, right? Because you've got to invest your time to learn it, right?
Exactly.
It's a big, it's not free. A free tool is not free to you. You're telling me, Dave.
Yes.
Oh goodness. So and like I'm not going to buy into this free tool if if the next step up is like $2,000, right? It's if the next step up is $200, okay, I'm there, right? But it's the same thing with what Altium are doing with Circuit Studio at the moment, right? It's or whatever the bloody latest thing is. It's like $3,000 or something, right?
Oh yeah,
So Circuit Maker is the free maker one, the online thing that we've been talking about, and then there are other ones, which they're now selling through Element 14.
Yep.
Which is going to be Element 14's high-end CAD tool, because Eagle is now going to be like their low-end pissant CAD tool, right? So Element 14 wanted a higher-end tool, so they convinced Altium to make this Circuit Studio for them, and it's like $3,000 or something. It's like, screw that.
Yeah.
Hey
man, it's. But I mean, at the same time, like a lot of these new ones as well, like it's like they look more realistic, right? This one is $100 a month, but like that's still $1,200 a year. That's legit. That's a lot of.
That's a fair bit of coin.
That's a lot of dough, right? That's ongoing. It's not like you're paying maintenance fees.
No.
It's like, you got that.
Especially when you've got so many of these things. Everything might be, it's only $50 a month or something. But then when you sign up for 20 things like that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to start looking at your credit card statement.
I'm seeing that all the time. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why is my credit card statement so? Oh, because I'm signed up to 20 different $50 a month plans. It's just madness. Get me off this planet.
Dave subscribes to... It's oscilloscope porn magazines. That's what it is. He just test equipment sexy quarterly. Just Dave looking at the magazine. Oh man, look at those probes.
There's got to be a market for that.
Yeah,
there's got to be a market for a technical porn magazine.
Well, wait, hold on.
It has to be.
Are we talking about like how you say that certain test equipment is pornographic, or are you saying something else? Because.
Well, yeah, like where you just open it, and there's gorgeous centerfold photos of the, of the inside of these oscilloscopes or something,
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I reckon people would sign up for that.
Maybe. Yeah, a nice high glossy print.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, I think what we were trying to say is that mechanical CAD is difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning, I've always known this, but, it just reinforces it, right? The importance of making these tools available to students, right? Because I see him, right? He's still a student at university, right? And he's a whiz at this, SolidWorks stuff, right? And he's, pretty darn good at, at Altium. Why? Because they've got the student license. Yep. And they learn this stuff, and then they come out. What are they going to use when they come out? He's trying to convince me I'll teach you how to use SolidWorks, And I'm going, yeah, okay, that's great, but then I've got to buy it, right? It's like how many thousands of dollars is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And they're doing the marketing for the company.
He's becoming, he's doing free marketing. He's becoming the evangelist for SolidWorks, because he thinks it's the duck's guts. And, well, okay, it is, but once you've... if you can afford it and you've invested the time, then it's great. It's one of the best tools out there.
I do notice that for a lot of this, like MathWorks as well. Like people are like, oh yeah, I have all these toolboxes in MathWorks. I'm like, dude, you're a student. Like, just that's not like that would be like $20,000 for me.
I know exactly.
I can't do what you're doing. I'm using Octave right now.
But he comes out so enthusiastic about this stuff. Just use this. Because look how easy it is. And, it's like, oh, man. Yep. There you go.
Well, keep it up, folks.
Hey, it works. It works.
In the educational market. Yep. It's a high
so
investment.
Companies who aren't doing this are just, crazy. They're just,
Well, I think the thing is it takes a lot of resources, too. It's just, there's a lot of...
Why? Why does it take any resources?
Well, because
you just give them the tool.
No, but
or you give it to them for $20 or something.
Yeah, well, there is that, but then you also have to cut deals. No, you do. You have to cut deals with like the universe. Maybe not as much as it used to be, but I remember at my school it used to be like you'd have the download from the IT department. And maybe you can just do a code or something, and you just prove that someone's a student. But it used to be you had to actually cut deals with the actual universities, and that would be a big thing. And then you think about what you really want is you want to hook them with
solvable.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if it's a small company, that's different than a big company. Small companies, that's more of a resource problem, I think. So it's a little bit harder to solve. But then the big thing is the curriculum as well. Like if you are student stuff,
if you
want to pair up that. Like my rant was last week, you actually want to pair up theory with practical.
Yep.
My friend was laughing at me about that. I actually got so worked up over that, and that you calmed me down.
Right. Okay.
That's what he was very, very bemused that you were the one to calm me down.
Right. I'm not as crazy as people think.
Yeah, he's not. He's not, folks.
Not as hyper.
He mellows. He mellows over time. Like a fine Australian scotch.
Right. Do we do scotch here, do we?
No.
Oh, yeah, Bundon. No, I don't know.
Do you? Maybe you do. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not called scotch, though. It might be Australian whiskey. Scotch only comes from Scotland.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I know, Yeah.
So there was another
Well, tastes the
there was
same
a
to me.
thing I put on the list. Actually, TI just came out with a new educational program, kind of targeted not towards, I don't think towards students. And they had talked to me about this a little bit, but it was basically, it's like there's some interesting analog content in there. And then I saw it, and then I'm like, oh, it uses that virtual bench from NI, that
virtual bench, yep,
that multi-tool, which I want to love, except it's $2,000 and it's
Yeah,
seems
it's
like
right.
kinda,
Okay, right. So they're
free course,
free
$2,000
hands-on training
thing.
and lab videos needs a $2,000 software. Is that what you're saying?
No, they said that you only really need the board. Like you could use other test equipment. They have like a board that goes along, a $200 test board that goes along with
which
it,
is reasonable. Yeah,
with,
okay.
like, jumpers and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking to learn like in-depth analog, it's not. I mean, it's good. Like I poke through a little bit, and it's good technical content. I think a lot of it, there's a bunch of other videos from other vendors on YouTube as well. That's also good. But it's nice to have all that stuff in one place, because sometimes you just don't, especially with the analog stuff, you just don't know until you kind of get smacked in the face by a spec, and then you're like, oh, that's why that matters. Ooh.
No.
That's gonna sting. Yeah. So yeah,
just like me feeding 10 volts into an op amp the other day and blowing the ass out.
That's right. Yeah, you posted that video. So I watched some of it, but what was there any resolution?
10 minutes of waffle, yeah. I just replaced the op amp and it worked again. It was just a nothing video. It was just one of those, I might as well hit record. I've got to do this. So
yeah, right.
Might as well make a fool out of myself, and why not?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the old school guys. They used to actually they could just fix the output stage or something, right? When it's just but like in your case, it probably was a blown output stage, but it's like, well, don't really get to do that anymore.
In this case, it was a blown input stage. So yep.
Oh, was it input stage? Okay,
those bloody those bloody ESD protection diodes, So yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Just went up to the rail and overloaded it.
Yeah, and it went more than 0.
They turned all the way on.
6 volts above the rail, and it started to conduct, and my voltage reference can supply like 5 watts or something, So sort of 5 watts into a into a tiny little SO8 packages, or the tiny little diode inside the SO8 packages, smoking.
Oh man!
Oh dearity.
See, you are doing electronics sometimes, sort of.
No, sometimes, sort of. It's
I'm
to
telling
do
you,
with
man,
production.
I've been on a tear. I'm a PCB per month now. That's my new schedule.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Wish I could.
And design.
Wish I could.
Build and design.
Yep.
KiCad. I did a thing on KiCad and GitHub. If you ever want to get into that.
Right.
Once you get into KiCad and then getting into GitHub, but I'm big on the GitHub thing now.
No. Yes, I know. We all know.
Yeah.
Keep rubbing it in. That's changed your life, and
Right. It does my laundry. It walks my dogs. It
Yep, and yep, and every day you pray to the great GitHub God.
To the Linus Torvalds statue. Thank you for Git. Great provider. Thank you for Git. You get.
Nice. All right, we're pissed away half the show. Let's get serious.
Right,
Let's talk about something topical.
You're like, oh, Dave sees the 30-minute mark. We just crossed it. Now we're cool. So go ahead, Dave. What would you like to talk about this week?
Well, we have to. I know this is like this combines three of the wank word, the biggest wank word bingo items, on our show. But this is important. This is pretty huge, right? This is important stuff.
I don't know if it's huge. I think it's interesting.
Well,
I don't know if it's huge.
It's very interesting because it's who it is, right? And they're the token. they're the poster child for open source hardware. Who am I talking about? Arduino. Of course I'm talking about Arduino, right?
Of course.
This is right. This is the, it is, as I said, the poster child for open source hardware. And here it is. They're going to Lawyer Town.
Yep.
Right? Against their co-founder, one of their co-founders, over the trademark for Arduino. And apparently they don't own it. It's a big, long story, and we'll provide all the links to the stories and the court case and everything down below, so you can check it out yourself. But so forgive us if we get something wrong here, So we're flapping our arms around. Well, I am anyway. And
I'm not as enthused about this. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So you're going to have to put up with me for the next half hour.
No, it's okay. I think, like I said, I think it's important, especially in the context. I think up front we should state that even from open source hardware as a term. It's changed over the years since we started talking about it, and before we even started the show, that's been talked about and stuff like that. And so it's interesting seeing this stuff. It's become more popular. It's changed in terms of definition. There's Open Source Hardware Association that's sprung up around it as well, and like all of these things, And now it's kind of hitting the thing. It's hitting a roadblock.
Anyway, I think there's lots of important things to be learned from this too. Yeah. So. There ultimately will be once. Well, it could take years for the dust to settle on this one. So, anyway, it could have. Yeah. What happened is the Arduino team, who everyone knows as the Arduino team, right, was 5 founding members. I won't go through all their names because I can't pronounce a lot of them. Anyway, one of them, who I will have to try and pronounce his name, Gianluca Martino.
Sorry, that was actually if I'm pretty decent. Wrong. I think that was right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Anyway, he's one of the 5 co-founders of Arduino. Right. Back in 2008 or whatever. Right. They founded the company. These 5 guys. Yes, they formed a company and everything else, blah, 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 started doing trademarks, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, which we'll get into. Anyway, so this guy, Gianluca Martino, he is basically there's now a lawsuit, okay, between 4 of the, i.e. Arduino, what everyone knows as Arduino, they're actually an American company,
an LLC, right? Which is Limited Liability Corporation.
They're an LLC. They're incorporated in the US, but I think they're an Italian corporation. But anyway, the lawsuit's in America, right? So that has big consequences too. Anyway, so what everyone knows is the Arduino LLC company, who own the Arduino.cc website, right? They're the ones who do all the development, everything else, okay? They are now suing their former co-founder, Gianluca Martino, who has another company, Arduino. Where is it?
SRP, something like that.
SRL or something. Arduino.
It's the Italian LLC corporation. It's some kind of structure.
Italian corporation, right? This is the guy. Okay, this founder. He's the guy who makes all the Arduino boards, right? Who, when you buy your Arduino board, it's made in Italy. It's made by this guy's company, right? They used to be called Smart Projects or something like that. I think they're now officially changed their name. Anyway, so one of the 5 co-founders, the reason he's a co-founder, I guess, is that he had a manufacturing company, right? So my voice is starting to go. Uh-oh. Anyway, he is the guy who manufactures all the Arduinos. And now, if you believe... You have to go read the story. If you believe Massimo Banzi's side of the story, because at the moment he is the only, I'll be up front, he's the only one who has told his side of the story, right? This Martino guy has not told his side of the story. So we're getting one side of it.
Correct.
But I'm taking way too long to get to the point here, aren't I?
Yes. Well, I'm shocked about that.
Oh, I know. Anyway, because it is a story. If you go read it, it's long and convoluted. Anyway, this Martino guy, he owns Arduino.org, right? and he is the one who officially manufactures all the Arduino boards. He is now saying he's refusing to pay royalties to Arduino LLC, i.e. the other 4 founders. And apparently he is the guy who owns the trademark. Arduino, the word Arduino.
In Italy.
He owns the trademark.
In
Italy. Sorry?
There's different trademark law in every country. And so Arduino.cc, or the LLC rather, they own it in the US and Germany and one or two other countries.
Apparently they don't. Is it?
Okay.
Somebody on the forum said, no, that's not correct. Anyway, if you believe people on forums. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, right, when they formed the company, Arduino, the 5 of them, they all signed a contract that said the company will own the rights to the trademark. Okay? So everything was fine and dandy, apparently. But this Martino guy apparently went off on his own accord, and without telling the other founders, he went and trademarked Arduino in Italy. So apparently he legally owns the trademark or him and his company, or his company, legally owns the trademark for the word Arduino in Italy. So now he's claiming that, he doesn't have to pay royalties for squat. And anyway, there's a huge split between the founding members, and with this, basically it's a battle between Arduino.cc and Arduino.org. That's basically what it comes down to. So, and they're suing.
People are angry and there's money involved.
There's money involved. Anyway, go read the story. We have only heard Massimo Banzi's side of the story. There's a big article in Make. You can read it in his own words. And apparently, the way he tells it, this guy went behind all the founders' backs and registered the trademark on his own. But see, the thing is, they haven't just found out about this, right? They've known about this for years. In fact, they found it like a year after they formed the company. They found out this guy went and trademarked with the word Arduino on his own without telling the other founders. And they found out, and apparently they've been trying to sort it out for like 4 or 5 years, and this whole thing's been brewing. And it gets worse than that. Arduino, but when I mean Arduino CC, what everyone knows as the Arduino group, right? They have not been receiving royalties for the last 12 months. This guy, Smart, who owns Smart Projects, he stopped paying royalties 12 months ago. And apparently, they've kept it quiet and they tried to sort things out. And it's like, this thing's been going on for years. And all of a sudden, they've gone public.
I think we should get to the wonk pundit side of things and what this actually means, because I think that's all that's all that we really know.
What it means, right?
All we really have here, Dave, is our opinion. So why don't we get to that part?
Oh, well, okay. Well, the fact is, as Massimo says in the article, if you have bought an Arduino in the last 12 months thinking that the money by buying an official Arduino goes towards them, i.e. the developers of the Arduino environment, i.e. Arduino.cc, then you are wrong. All the money went into this other guy's pocket and they haven't seen a cent of it. Right. So
that's not what I was thinking of. I was actually thinking of, here's what I get from this. One.
Yeah, right. Okay, go.
International law is messed up because this is going to be fought in multiple courtrooms over stupidness, and my personal opinion is that more money is going to go to...
It's only being fought in one. Apparently, as far as I know, there's only one lawsuit, and it's in America.
Right. Believe me,
but
Dave.
Let's not speculate. Let's just...
Come on, man.
I know.
Okay. But I'm just saying that international law gets really messy really quickly because there's just different jurisdictions and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Two, here's the other thing I think.
Okay.
This is a downside because this now is a precedent for other people to be more...
A downside for who?
For future projects, because now people are going to say, well...
A downside for the open source hardware movement.
Correct, because it's like, well, now... Right. Well, we should be careful, we should protect ourselves. Sometimes playing fast and loose with this kind of stuff is great because it's like, who gives a shit? We don't know if this is going to be a thing. If it starts out where it's like, oh, well, let's make sure we have all of our contracts signed and everything like that. Like, that is a number one way to make sure that nothing ever happens.
Exactly.
The first time that like, oh, hey, do you want to work on this project with me? Yeah, I'd love to. It's really great. Oh, well, I need you to sign this NDA. Screw you, man. Get out of my face. You know, it's just like it's just like as soon as it becomes this thing where it's like, oh, well, it could be great fame and fortune. I'm telling you, if that would have happened up front, then no one would ever have heard of Arduino. Like, so that's kind of the main point that I'm getting at with that is, it's just there's messiness here now.
These guys formed a company and had the idea for Trademark from day one.
That's fine, but what I'm saying is they didn't put as much focus on it.
That's not quite true.
Okay, but what I'm saying is there's not as much focus on it, and if there was as much focus on it, and there was all these roadblocks in the way, I think that could have negatively impacted.
Yep.
And I think the same thing is true for a lot of stuff, right? When the big legal issues become a big thing up front, it doesn't necessarily stop a project, but it slows it down, especially if there's momentum.
The interesting thing is it's been to their detriment. In fact, it seems that the original 4 founders, i.e. Arduino.cc, have been so nice over all these years, letting this other founder get away with owning the trademark when he shouldn't have, that they've just gone there. They seem to have just gone along with it and not told anyone and just happily promoted the community and everything else, which is admirable. I mean, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah, because they want to build stuff. I mean,
they just wanted to build stuff, but ultimately it now has come out that they have been screwed over. And
right. Well, and that's what I'm saying is that people are going to point at that and say, "Oh, see, you should have covered your ass." You know, that's what always happens. And
exactly.
Oh, well, we should cover our ass. We should make sure we have legal stuff in place. And it's like, ugh, good, just go build.
Which is why,
it sucks.
Which is why I think they're setting the wrong precedent for the community by engaging lawyers. Because it won't work.
That.
They will go bankrupt before it happened. No, because see, they should just walk away. They should just go. No. This guy screwed us over. Fine. Let's just change direction. Figure out how to make money some other way.
I don't know about
that. That's why you think that they should spend millions of dollars because that's what it'll take for somebody to win a trademark court case in the US, and I have that on good authority.
Oh, really? Oh, you talked to your brother.
It'll take years. Right? Yeah, exactly.
We all know it was Phil. Okay, let's just say it. Come on, it was Phil.
Patent and trademark law.
I know. It sucks.
They are not going to get
big money.
Right?
You're right.
It'll take years, and they will go. Both of these companies will go bankrupt before somebody wins. For somebody to win this, they'll have to get a financial backer that comes in and backs them financially for the court case, or somebody has to just go, "I've had enough. I'm pulling out."
Well, I think that would be the first thing is try and settle this messiness out of court as much as you can.
Well, they've spent 5 years trying to settle it, apparently.
Yeah, but not with money necessarily. You know what I mean? Like it's
right, not with lawyers. Right? That seems they finally engaged lawyers or something.
That's
after expensive mediators, right?
Yeah, well, it's fine. But
I don't have any money to sue you, but I threatened to sue you. Here's a letter from a lawyer.
Let's be completely honest.
$500 for.
At some point, you and I are going to sue each other for something. Let's be honest. Come on.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm going to be suing you.
Because I'm not stupid enough to throw money down the drain like that.
God, can you imagine? How would that even work? If I tried to sue you, I don't even know what it would be like. Okay, so say you and I were fighting over the amp hour name. God knows why.
Right.
How does that even work though across like jurisdictions like that? It's just like, oh well.
It doesn't. It's just ridiculous. It's bullshit. That's why you'd be mad not to just walk away.
Okay, so if that's what you mean by walk away, like we have trademark here, you have trademark there, we don't really care. I guess so, but then I don't know, like because let's keep going with this example though, right? So I guess the only thing I could think about with that would be if Dave Jones and it has the amp hour registered in Australia and I have the amp hour registered in the States, I think the only argument there, and maybe this has been stated somewhere, would be if I truly think that I own the amp hour worldwide, right?
Right.
Which I don't think that, Dave.
I don't give a shit if you think it or
not.
No,
but okay, so the idea would be like because then it's like you have contrasting brands across the world, right? So it's like Dave's selling the amp hour T-shirts in Australia, and they also say Chris sucks on it. You know, like something like that.
Right.
I don't know. Right. You're right. That is
so
speculation.
You sue me for selling T-shirts. Right. Come on, let's not get into hypotheticals. Anyway, That's just going
let's not
to
get into that
spiral
hypothetical. We'll get into other hypotheticals. That's how we do on the show.
We have ourselves a real court case, right? So this puts the Arduino group. By the Arduino group, I mean the original 4 founders Arduino CC. Okay, who are the developers of the software? Right, they're the ones who do the core of the development. I know it's open source and anyone can do it, anyone can develop it, but in the real world, that's not how it works, right?
Right.
It usually comes down to 1 or 2 core people.
So this brings up points 3 and 4 that I'd like to make. Point 3 is obvious, right? But it's money makes things messy, right? And in hardware, money is also necessary because we need to build stuff. It's not like this is just an open source software project where it's like, okay, you have to pay for developers' time, but they can all donate.
Right? No.
Yeah. Well,
people
not even
have to eat, right?
Yeah, you have to do that, but I'm just saying, like, in order to purchase boards, you need actual capital, whereas, you could have...
Yes.
You're not going to have donated stuff. You could have, in theory, a donated open source software project. In reality, you probably can't because of resources and stuff like that, but there are physical goods here.
There are, but that's another interesting point about this case is that... I'll call them smart projects. That's their old name, right? Okay. So the company that manufactures the boards, they claim to have an exclusive agreement with the Arduino company, right, for exclusive manufacture of Arduino boards. So it's not like the Arduino group can go and say, well, screw that, we'll just go make our own boards. We'll go to another manufacturer. Apparently they don't have that luxury. Why they signed an exclusive manufacturing agreement to begin with, that's probably fail number 1 right there.
Maybe, but
I mean, that's just,
you're not thinking of it. Yeah, whatever. No big deal, right? I mean, like...
Right, but anyway, so they can't sell boards and they're not making royalties, apparently. But this is where, like, the whole thing is really convoluted. If you believe some of the talk on the forum, and this is not
which
confirmed,
Dave does.
Some of the larger distributors, right? I.e., I'm talking like SparkFun and your Adafruits and those sort of ones. Apparently, have sort of been paying a royalty directly to the Arduino group instead of the royalty to the Smart Projects group who actually make the boards. And there's some convoluted arrangement with some distributors or something like that. So I think they still might be getting some income from that. But anyway, it's this huge split between the guy who makes the Arduino boards and what everyone knows as the Arduino developers who develop the software and are the public face, right? Because everyone knows Hasamo Banzi, right? He's like the public face, isn't he? I mean, he's the big, he is
voice.
the Arduino brand, so to speak. Right.
Well, you're part of it.
So, he's the one who goes to the conferences, gives all the talks, always in the public eye, right? Nobody knows about the guy who goes and who actually manufactures the boards, right? He's like a nobody as far as the community is concerned.
Maybe.
So, I'm speaking broadly here.
Of course. Right. We're not speaking hypotheticals, just broadly. All right. So the fourth thing I'd like to bring up.
Wait. There's another interesting fact.
Okay.
Another interesting fact.
You're all about facts here, Dave.
Projects,
I want to speculate. I want to be a wonk. Come on, man. I'm a pundit.
No, because this is go and read the court documents for the court claims. It's fascinating. It's got the pictures. It's got the whole story in there, right? The company who now claim rights to the Arduino trademark and are manufacturing the boards, they actually print on their boxes, or they used to. I'm sure they'll remove it pretty quick. Is that manufactured under license to the Arduino LLC group or whatever. It's like, we admit that we manufacture it under license to them, from them. So even though now they're claiming that they own all the rights to do it, when they print on their own box contradictory information to that. Anyway, I found that fascinating. Anyway, what's your third or fourth point?
Fourth point is interesting because I think that so if you watched any of the old open source hardware talks as well, you're really just Massimo talking at other things, is talking about, so what if you're doing open source hardware, what is your protection, right? What is your protection against people ripping off your design? And literally the only thing they said was their protection was trademark. And it's like, oh.
Oh. Because that's always been a big thing. I know. That's always been a big thing with the Arduino brand, right? Because they were very strict about who could, they would go after people on eBay and everything. If you, manufactured a board, a clone board, which you're allowed to do because it's open source hardware. But if you use the Arduino name or logo on there, they'd come down on you like a ton of bricks. And I think they have every right to do that. And everyone thinks that's okay, It's their trademark, it's their name.
It's kind of baked into the ethos of the open source hardware stuff. It's like, it
is.
Like,
you can't use my name.
You can build on it. Right. And that's why it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I've been involved in exactly the same thing, right? I've done some open source hardware stuff, and people have come to me, Dave, can we manufacture our own microcurrents? Can we manufacture our own micro rulers, right? Everything else, I said, fine, go ahead. It's open source hardware. I totally support you doing that. Just don't use my name. Don't put EEV blog on it because it's not mine. Okay? Right. I don't want people coming to me for support for something that you've manufactured.
By you. Right, exactly.
No, exactly. It's not controlled by me. So I'm happy for it, but and it's like, I even had people complain once in terms of the ruler, right? I released the files for it, right? I released the PCB and Gerber files for it. This is the original single-sided ruler. And I only released the top layer. I didn't release the bottom layer. And everyone went, why? You can't do that. That's against the open source hardware rules, blah, blah, blah. And I went, the only thing on the back is my name. Right. So, and you want to go manufacture this commercially, that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But why do you need that extra layer that has just my name and logo on it? Like, why? Yeah. And they went, but that's the rules. And I went, yeah, sure, okay, here it is, fine. But just don't put my name on it. Thank you very much. It's just ridiculous. Right? Yeah. It's just, anyway, crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, everyone understands that, sort of one of the ways to make your money and in the open source hardware movement is to, in the industry, is to protect your trademark or name, and I think everyone accepts that as a perfectly acceptable thing.
Yeah.
So...
Well, one thing...
Yeah, and you're right. They're claiming that the only thing they have was their name, and now they're saying, well, we never actually owned that name. This other guy did. This other founder who manufactures the boards did. And yet for the last, 5 or 6 years, they've been going around claiming, well, we own the name.
I'm pretty sure they own it in the States, Dave. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they own it in the States, but not in Italy. Okay. I thought. But, again...
Right. Well, if that is the case, that's what I thought at first, until somebody on the forum corrected me, but I haven't verified that. But if that's the case, why would they sue them? Why wouldn't? Because, remember, it is not the Smart Projects guy suing Arduino. It's Arduino suing the Smart Projects guy.
Well, okay, so this is one thing that I learned about Trademark recently.
Wait, hang on. Yeah. So if they own the US trademark and the trademark in other countries, except Italy, or in a good lot of countries, why bother? Why wouldn't you just go, well, screw, he can have it in Italy. We're not going to waste a cent on lawyers just to win Italy. That's madness. And you would raise it in Italy. You would raise the court case in Italy, not in the US. If you already own the trademark in the US, why would you have the court case in the US? It's madness.
Here's what I understand about trademark, is that you need to, in order to maintain a trademark, you need to enforce it. So if someone does impinge your trademark, you need to sue them, or else it doesn't show that you're enforcing it, I think.
Yeah, but
these boards are being sold in the US, Dave. They're being sold in the US. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, right. All right.
Again, this is our this is our conjecture because we're not lawyers and we don't ever know.
No, and we haven't read all the details of this thing. I mean,
welcome
we
to the
can't
Amp
even
Hour
agree
Law
on that.
podcast. For the next hour, you're going to want to scoop out your own eyeballs and your ears with a spoon.
Okay, so you think that's plausible? You think that was what could be happening here? Is that
well, that's kind of the
they
same.
do own the US trademark, but they're selling, and this other company's selling it in the US and not paying them royalties as they should.
I mean, that's all I can think. Like,
okay, well that's fine. Let's just run with that.
yeah, the Amp Hour has decided.
But I don't know.
That noise you're making, that's how I'm thinking about talking about this anymore. I
know.
don't know. Like, it's going to shake out how it's going to shake out.
You engage lawyers.
Yeah. Yes, you're totally right. But it's big money stuff, right? I mean, this is what it comes down to. It's big money because this is... for certain reasons, too, right? I mean, the foundation is... The Arduino Foundation, the states, is... they have under other funding activities and stuff like that. I think it, pays salaries, whatever. There's money involved, right? Money makes things messy.
There's money involved because they have to eat. I don't know how many employees they have, but yeah, they've got to eat, right? So, I don't. Oh, it's just such a mess. It's just such a mess.
And all this for some software and an 8-bit development board.
Yeah, I know.
Like.
It's
Come
just. And if they go the lawyers are just going to suck them both dry. They're just going to suck them dry. And it would not surprise me if in a couple of years' time we are saying on the show, because we're here in our rocking chairs, we're going, I told you so. They shouldn't have never engaged the lawyers because they're both bankrupt and and gone under, and things have changed. Anyway, you've got to agree, this is a huge deal, right? This is this is the poster child for the open source hardware movement, and it's gotten to this point where founders are suing each other.
I don't know. I think along a timeline, this kind of thing always happens. That's cynical, but
it's probably inevitable. And there's talk about the Arduino group wanted to expand, and the other guy didn't. Or something, right. And that was a big part of their beef, and they wanted to get external funding in, and the guy who manufactures the boards didn't, and there's lots of
okay. So I think the takeaways here are it's going to get messy, right? I mean, like anything that gets big gets messy, right? Because there's money involved. It's
only going to get worse from here,
and because there's going to be lawyers involved and everything like that. It's just because it's a big thing. So I think anyone out there who's listening and planning on starting a big thing, get ready for messy, right? I mean, like it's not like this is like exclusive to just this though, too, right? Like that entire movie, one of my favorite movies, The Social Network, right? That Aaron Sorkin movie.
Right.
It was brilliant, but it's all about a court case over similarly trite, ownership issues
But yeah, see, and this thing you were talking about, if you don't defend your trademark, you lose it. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not like the trademark people are actively coming along, have you been infringed this week? And have you defended it? They could have just ignored this and not started anything. Because
then the next time
have that.
Because then when it gets worse and then they go to violate, because that's what happens, Dave. Someone goes and violates it for real the next time. In the States, right? Someone starts Arduino down the street from them, and then they say,
okay,
we're going to sell this stuff. And then they say, did you enforce your trademark? And then the guy who starts it down the street says, they do it in Italy, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Lawyer.
That only comes into play if it reaches the real in-depth stages of a trademark lawsuit, right?
Which
it does not stop you, which they do not have the money to do. I'm telling you, this Arduino group do not have the money to defend. Neither groups have the money to win this lawsuit. They don't. That's a fact, right? It's going to cost hundreds of thousands to 7 digits plus to win this lawsuit, unless somebody pulls out or a compromise is made, right? They don't have the money. So, this does not stop you like threatening other people. You know, if there's an eBay seller who starts selling your boards with the Arduino label on it, you pay you a couple $100, you get your lawyers to send them a thing. Hey, we have the trademark, boom, and they'll usually back down because nobody wants to fight a trademark lawsuit, right? So it's either all in or it's a thinly veiled, you know, defense, right? It's a threat. Threat, right?
Yeah, it's the illusion of
it's just like
authority.
having a patent, right? Yeah, it's exactly like having a patent. If somebody does your thing, I've got a patent on this, right? So you send them a threatening letter from your lawyer, and well, they either back down or they go, screw you, I've got $10 million in the bank, I'm going to take you on, right? You're hoping that they back down because you don't have the money to fight it. And that's what they could have done here. They could have just
call
ignored
this game Lawyer Chicken.
This, and they could have just gone off and got the boards manufactured on their own. That might have been against the contract, but then they could fight that in law, and that would have been much cheaper to fight than fighting a trademark suit. So anyway, somebody's doomed, or the entire Arduino thing is just going to fall to pieces because I don't know.
We're all doomed. But it's, I mean, like,
anyway,
honestly,
it's messy, and we only have one side of the story.
But that's true.
That's the thing. Yeah. So all we have is the article from Massimo Banzi in the Make on the Make blog and the lawsuit itself. You can go read the claims that Arduino Group are claiming against this other mob. And I,
if you're having
to be honest, haven't read them all yet because it's like 38 pages or something. It's very yawn-worthy, but there's some juicy stuff in there. I mean, they talk about in the lawsuit. They actually talk about in the claims. They talk about how the company was formed, where on which date, in what year, and they had this agreement in place. Blah blah blah. It's the whole history's there. It's quite fascinating. So, do we have any predictions about what's going to happen?
I'm out, man. I got nothing.
No, he's not game.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm having trouble with this whole thing. I don't know. Like I'm never gonna do anything that big. So until I sue Dave for the amp hour trademark, it's not gonna be irrelevant to me.
Right. Anyway,
I'm
it's
sure this is big.
Huge. And here's the other thing, right? All of the community support is going to be behind the original Arduino group and the developers and Massimo Banzi, right? Nobody knows who this guy is, this other guy is. Nobody cares, right? Everyone, and he's the only one talking, right? Massimo Banzi's the only one talking, and when you're the only one talking, you control the game, right? So they have that going for them. But apparently, they don't have Arduinos to sell anymore. They're not making money from any Arduino sold, apparently. Something like that. So where's their money coming from? I don't know. But they seem to be pushing on. They're pushing through it as if nothing's happening. It's a rather weird story. I can't help but be fascinated by it. I'm sorry.
I know. Well, you've gotten more interested in the business side of things anyways, though. I think that's probably why you're...
No, I just find it... just from a community point of view, I find it absolutely fascinating.
I think the only thing that this does to me...
Hang on.
Yep.
What?
Oh, Dave, you dare talk over
me?
me. I'm going to sue you for the amp hour notes.
You're going to sue my ass. You're going to sue my Australian ass.
You ever seen that South Park episode where the Scientology thing? Oh my god!
No.
At the end, we're gonna sue you. We're gonna sue you so hard. And then the end credits, it's all like the end credits of South Park's all like John Smith, Jane Smith, like all of the writers.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
It was great.
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right.
I don't remember what I was going to say now. Oh, I know what it was.
I'm surprised it wasn't Joseph Smith.
Just talking about this stuff is just like all it is it's just it strikes fear into my heart that at some point we would have a lawsuit about this kind of stuff, right? I mean, like that's the thing. Like it's just
I know.
That's what bugs me about it.
It's sad.
Like my buddy's been sued.
And the other shitty, really
before. Yeah, he's a doctor. I mean, so he's malpractice suits
Oh,
are
right.
just
Well, they
like
get
dime
sued
a
all the
dozen.
time. That's why they have. That's
Right.
why they pay $50,000 a year insurance or whatever.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
it's demoralizing. It's just like.
Oh yeah,
Like-
totally. Yeah.
Not that there aren't legit cases, but it's just like in general, it's just like all of this stuff. It's just I was just talking to someone else who was getting off a huge lawsuit after this kind of stuff, and it's just like, man,
Yep.
it's terrible.
It's nuts. Did I tell you about neighbours of family, friends?
No.
They sued each other over a back fence. It was started out as a minor quibble over a back fence, right? They were apparently good friends. They were good neighbours,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, some fence or drainage thing happened or something, and 5 years later, and $150,000 in the hole.
Yep.
For lawyers' fees, it's gotten so bad that they're now hiring another lawyer to sue the previous lawyer because he didn't do a good enough job. And it's and they're pouring more money down this. So, it's and they're hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Just walk away. Just move. Just do something. I don't know. But anyway, it's ridiculous. But the other shitty thing is what happens to the community here. Right? Because I can see people go, well, I was buying these official Arduinos thinking that I was supporting Massimo Banzi and the other developers. But now now you're telling me that's not the case. And do I even support the official Arduino brand anymore? Who's this other guy who's from Smart Projects who's manufacturing these boards? I don't know him. Why should I
We'll stay impartial
buy an
there, Dave.
official Arduino to go support him? What?
I said staying impartial.
Impartial?
We don't know both sides of the story, but there's this other guy.
No, I know. This is a fact, right? I'll eat my hat if I'm wrong and that everyone knows who this other guy is. Everyone who buys Arduinos knows what this other guy is and knows the difference between Arduino CC and Arduino.org. I bet you $1 million they don't. Most people, when they think of Arduino, they think of Massimo, Banzi, and the other key software developers and Arduino, and those guys. And, right, that's who they think of when they think of Arduino. And they think that they hope when they're buying a genuine Arduino that's where their money's going. Otherwise, why bother? Why don't you just, buy your $5 one on eBay, right?
Well,
and be done with it. And that's a big part. That's a big part of the Arduino community is the supporters out there who support the genuine Arduino brand and the distributors who only carry the genuine Arduino brands, etc. Right?
Yep.
And that's, and all these people have been screwed over now, essentially, because their money's gone probably not to where they really thought it was going. So even though it is to one of the original founders, but I argue that that's not where they intended their money and their support to go. So it's fascinating. And,
it could change the dynamics for sure. But I think that maybe...
what has already, I think.
I don't know about that.
So, anyway, we haven't heard any official response from any of the major distributors and things like that yet, as far as I'm aware of, in terms of what whose side they're going to take, or if they're going to take any side, or whether or not they're just going to keep their mouth shut and just keep selling official Arduinos. And I don't know. It's nasty stuff.
Yeah. Can we talk about anything else? Can we have like a palate cleanser here? Like a palate cleanser?
No, because our show's up.
No,
we're pissed
keep
away
going.
our hour. Just me ranting on about...
Let's have some happy news. Like
what? I don't know.
Cyprus
There's never any
killing
happy news.
1,200 jobs.
Entropy, dude. Entropy. There's just like the world's just going to shit. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. It's the universe. It's fight the entropy, folks. Yep. No, well, there's more consolidation in the semiconductor industry. Bloody what's-her-name bought what's-her-name. We mentioned that 2 weeks ago, but yes, somebody else, what's-her-name, has bought Vitesse. Who the hell bought Vitesse?
Microsemi, who owns
Microsemi.
They're the ones who bought Actel, so most people know them for Actel these days.
They bought Actel, and now they've bought Vitesse. And Vitesse, I used to use their Ethernet chipsets, And
and Cyprus expansion.
I think that's pretty much all they do. I don't think they. Right, and there's so huge more consolidation. Yawn, like every second week we're having a consolidation news announcement. Yep, and it feels like we should consolidate. Maybe the Amp Hour should consolidate with like another podcast or something. I don't know.
The Amp Hour
seems fitting the way the
acquires
industry's
Embedded
going.
and SparkGap, and now we'll have 6 people talking at the same time on a Mumble server. Oh boy.
Oh, your Mumble server is going to crap.
Mine is?
Hello.
Oh, well, see, there we go.
You were
That's
breaking
the problem.
up there. Yeah, it's
see?
just
They're probably trying to dial in right now, man.
I reckon we cash out now while we're strong. What do you think?
Exactly. Yeah, at the top of the market, top of our game.
That's it. We're the world's #1 engineering podcast. Let's cash out.
But Dave, I own the trademark in the States, man. You gotta pay me my royalties.
Yeah, but I've got the domain name, I think, don't I?
You do. Yeah, that's true. We're screwed.
And well. Anyway.
So, how about this as something interesting and kind of weird? I was listening to another podcast, the Tim Ferriss podcast. I don't know if you ever read his book, The 4-Hour Work Week and 4-Hour Body and all these other terrible titles, but they're basically like self-help books type of things, but kind of about business or fitness and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're really into that sort of thing.
So anyways, he had this interesting guy out who's like all about psychedelic drugs, and I posted the link, but basically around 55 minutes or so, they talked about an experiment back in the 60s where they would give these guys psychedelics, and they would be like people who were like, so like mushrooms or acid and stuff like that, but they were working on, they were like Silicon Valley engineers, and they would bring them in, and they said that because I don't know what they were talking about, like the actual like some kind of property of these psychedelics, caused extreme concentration. But they said because these guys were already like really deep into a problem but couldn't figure it out, basically like these guys were taking drugs and then solving circuit equations or like making circuit diagrams. This was the example they gave. It was just I was like listening to it. I'm just like
with drawings of pink elephants on them.
Well, yeah, and I was just wondering.
That's why Jim Williams was so good. That explains the drawings at the end of the data sheets.
Right, exactly, and that's what,
Bingo,
that's what I was wondering.
He was on psychedelics.
Which parts have we been using this whole time that have been solved by like a tab of acid or like a mushroom cap or two? And
the 555 timer,
that's
the
right.
74, all of the the 741.
Weidlar used to party, so I don't know. I thought it was actually it was actually a really interesting episode overall, but that specifically caught my ear. It was just
right. Were there any downsides to the acid trips, or was it just 100% better performance?
So I've actually I don't do drugs, but I've actually done a flotation tank
says all people who do drugs.
Right, of course. Sorry. Right, yeah.
But you've been into a flotation tank, right? While you were sucking pure oxygen and getting acupuncture and no, sorry.
Right, and I had those crystals on my chest and
right.
I had a
Crystal
magnetic bracelet on and
that's it.
listening to
while you were whale sounds.
That's right.
While
Exactly. Right. And I'd grown my hair out and dreads and. Anyways, no, actually, I have done that once before, and it was interesting because I had read about it and. Basically, like they look at people when you go into an isolation tank, your brain kind of kicks into like hyperdrive because, you don't have to process all the sensations that your body's normally, like we're basically big sensor processes, right? We have skin, we have sight, sound, stuff like that. And basically you take all that stuff away because you isolate someone in water and temperature and stuff like that. And your brain's like, oh, hey, what do I think about now? And so the one time I did it though, I was actually thinking about control loops the whole time. Like I couldn't stop thinking about control loops for some reason. I was just sitting in there for like 70 minutes. I was floating in this tank just thinking about control loops. It was really weird, but it was something I was working on at the time.
You do that on the toilet like everyone else? I mean,
yeah, that's 70 minutes, man. I mean, that's a
lot. That's a lot of burritos.
Yeah. So, but it was actually really interesting. I mean, I think that's probably the closest I've come to like a drug type experience like that, where it was like my brain was doing, you kind of get out of your own way in terms of that kind of stuff, and Yeah, same kind of thing. Like thinking, like I come up with ideas in the shower or stuff like that, or if you're on the can thinking about stuff, it's just having quiet, reflective time to think about circuits. It's interesting, and then if they're doing it psychedelically, well, it's just kind of people getting out of their own way. So I thought it was very interesting.
We finally hit the bottom with
We've
the
hit
toilet
the bottom.
jokes.
Yeah,
really,
that's
that's pathetic. Can we give up now, please?
How are we doing here? Oh yeah, we're almost at like 1.25. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh god, that was so much time. That was at least a palate cleanser, right? We laughed about something versus cry.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
We'll be back next.
We'll be back next
week, folks,
yep.
with a lawyer. My lawyer will be here. Dave's lawyer will be here. We'll just be discussing the
and
terms.
all our opinions will be vetted.
That's right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Everything's redacted. It's just everything.
Right.
Dave, I'd like to say. My lawyer says I can't say that. Actually, but I would like to say. Oh, he says I can't say that either.
Oh, goodness.
All right, man. Well, don't get sued in the next week before I talk to you.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
So you're not the prophet, huh? You made me look stupid. I'm gonna sue you too.
Well, fine. Go ahead and sue me.
I will. I'll sue you in England. You are so sued, kid.
Well, go on then. Sue me.
We're going to.
Okay, good. Do it. I'm not scared of you. Sue me.